Okay, so I'm continuing my study of the dominant Lydian fourth degree mode of the melodic minor scale. That's a lot to say. And don't get hung up on the names. I often forget the names of the modes after I've learned them because it doesn't matter. It's just, playing music. But I do enjoy knowing the names. It's something I've gotten more into. So, yeah, this is the fourth degree of the melodic minor scale. The one, again, is over a minor major chord. So it has a 1 flat 3, major 7, 5 in it. So it sounds like that. The scale goes. Cool, right? And that's beautiful and worthy of study, and I have studied it, but I'm focused on two of the modes for my playing right now, which is primarily blues and funk and rock, and I'm looking to expand what I'm doing harmonically there. So the two modes of primary interest to me are the fourth and the seventh. The seventh I've been working on for quite some time, and I'd say it's becoming part of my playing now. It's further along, and this mode is relatively new study for me. So I'm taking you through the process of me getting that under my fingers. So hopefully that'll be helpful to you. So last time worked out of G, which put us with a C7 sharp 11 chord. Let's work out an E. That's that sharp 11 that makes it the mode what it is, right? Otherwise, it's just a very basic scale. So that's our primary note of interest. We really need to know this scale. So a good way to learn a scale is to look at it on a single string, to really just see the structure of it. So here, if we're descending on this scale, we start with a half step down, and then we go into the half diminished. If you're familiar with the double diminished scale, the diminished portion of that goes half step, whole step, half step. Right? So that's the diminished portion of the scale. And then it goes whole tone, which is just a whole step, a whole tone. Right? So again, descending, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole, whole. So I find myself, increasingly really wanting to have that, not only from descending from the root and ascending from the root, but what's it look like from the 5? So let's do that. So we just did descending. So ascending. We gotta know it too, because I heard Derek Truck say this once. You can hear people's hesitation if they don't, in their playing. That's what he was saying. So let us not be that musician that, other musicians can hear us going, where's the next note? We don't want to be that person. So let's really know it. be able to play it boldly with confidence. You make a mistake, bend the note, or go up or down a note, or hit the same note again, like you meant it, and then go up or down one, because I think it's pretty common knowledge. If you hit a wrong note, if you go down or up one half step, you're going to hit a note that's correct. So that's pretty cool. So don't be afraid. But let's really know it. All right, so ascending is a whole step, whole step, whole step. So 3 whole steps. Then we're into the half step, whole step portion. Right? And then a whole step to finish. So I think of this as 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. With the 4 notes, I've covered 3 whole steps. I've got the half diminished thing. And then I'm whole step to done. All right. So let's take a look at some chord formations. Right, so this note on top. So here I've got A flat, D, E, B flat. This B flat, you can move to the top, and if you're familiar with the chord at all, you probably know this form, but you probably know it here as an E on the 12th fret. Right, and here we're using it down here on the 5th. Is that right? Yeah. But if we're going to do an inversion of it, the chord moves in sharp 11. So that's interesting, right? It's the sharp 11 note that's of interest, and the inversions are symmetrical and they move in sharp 11th intervals or flat 5th intervals. So here I got the B flat. That's the flat 5th. So check that out. So that gives us a tool to find more voicings. If we find one, we can move it up a sharp 11, and we have another voicing. Of course, the scale isn't the same. The scale is going to shift a lot like the diminished. But the diminished is unique, and it's fully symmetrical way. So when it moves, the scale shape is the same with it, travels with it, which is really cool. We can get into that sometime, but in this case, it doesn't. It's a different scale shape. So we can take a look at that. Let's do it. So, right, 1, 2, 3, 4 notes, 3 whole steps, half diminished, whole step to home. Home, baby. I've been practicing. Right? So I want to be able to launch off of any note in the chord and play it all the way down, right? Like I don't want to, here's the root, but I want to stop there. So, what I was talking about, knowing the scale, like where's the trigger from the 5th, right? Because there's a natural 5th and a sharp 11 in the scale. So this is our root. The 5 is here. So the sharp 11, right? But the 5 is here, directly below the root. The sharp 11 is there. And now I know it's triggered my, half diminished portion of the scale. Well, let's say I'm not doing those notes. I just know that when I drop down to the fifth, and if I want to descend, that I'm in the second half of that diminished form. So I've got a half step, and then it's whole steps to the root. This isn't something you're not gonna jam on this chord. It's a passing chord, or it's a non-functional dominant chord. So you're gonna play it when the dominant chord, which dominant chords always want to resolve. They're unstable. They're calling for home, right? They're like, I want to go home. Right? So they really drive movement in progressions, drives resolution. Other chords are suspended. Gives you a chance to really stretch something out into the stratosphere, go into interstellar space, on a suspended chord. Where other chords are home. You've gotten home. And same with notes. Some notes are resolved, like the third. Other notes, like the four, are unresolved. They're suspended. They're hanging out there in the nine. So think of music in terms of that, and just listen and say, is this something that's suspended, or is it something that's calling for home, seeking resolution, or is it resolved? Is it home? And how home is it? Is it? So anyway, where was I? We're working out of E, and we're working onto this position. So here's another one, right? So if we're like, oh, where's the scale? Well, we know the root's here. We have a half step down. And then what? Then it's our diminished thing. Right? But it looks different here than it does up here. Because of the B string. The B string, man. It is just a bitch. There's no other way to describe it. It really is sort of an evil doing. It's in there to make things more accessible. Like, hey, you can reach this note because the B string's tuned in the third. I know there are players who tune the whole thing in fourths, and it's got to be simpler. At this point in my life, I'm committed to the third tuning of the B string. So I found it's helpful to kind of be mindful, aware of the way things shift through the B string. So here's this is an example. Right. So let's take a look at it here in tuned in fourths. So here's the E again. So we got our whole step down to flat 7, 6, 5, sharp 11, 3, 9, 1. So we got this thing. They're all in a row, very nicely spaced out, very comfortable under the fingers. But when we get to the the B string, if we played it the same, we'd land here. But because because the B string's tuned down, we have to move up one to account for that. So I think of that as kind of tightening that pattern, because here my fingers were laid out over 4 frets. Here it's over 3 frets, so it packs down. And then here it's back, right? Because these are tuned in fourths. But now descending. When I finished here, I was coming over right here, but now that shifts down. So instead of here, it's here. So that's tricky, but just encourage you to look at that. Don't get hung up on it. It's a constant work in progress. I think the key is to understand the intervals of the scale, so that you're aware, of in this case the 1, the 9, the third, the sharp 11, the 5, the 6, flat 7, and the root. You're aware of those intervals, but you're also mindful of the shift on the B string, and then you're memorizing the pattern. All those things combined, and your ears, right? You're listening. The super key, that last one is, should be number 1. All those things combined for us to get these things together. But it's a lot of work, but it does come. So if this is kind of advanced for you, you can apply this to not only this, encourage you to study this mode. It will serve you well. But apply it to the major modes as well, which, most of what we're dealing with in contemporary music is diatonic out of the major mode. And that's a little bit easier place to really study, get all these things together, and then come over to the melodic minor modes and study it there. But by all means, work on this now as well. I like to kind of jump around in my studies, but lately I find I'm drilling into things deeper, saying, let me really get this together. When I'm done with this, I'll go back and I'll probably, study the major modes again, and I don't know, kind of, see where things are at there. And then there's also just playing. You have to apply these things that we're playing, which I've been doing. And maybe in the next thing, I'll show you how I'm practicing this in a playing practice mode. But as fun as that is, if you don't do this work, then you're limited in your playing, and you're stuck doing things like, oh well, if I'm going to use the chord, if I gotta play it in this position because that's the only place I really know it. We don't want that. We don't want it to be, oh, let me go over there. We want to be able to do it freely at will, in any context, musical context. All right, so let's take a look at more of these voicings now. So we did this. Let's see. Yeah. Hold on. a process, man. Like I think of it like a windshield, and you're wiping off these spots so you can see out the windshield. You're like, oh, I got this, defrosted over here and over here. I can see you're defrosting a spot over here, and you're like, wait, that frosted back over again. So these scales are just a process of, like that, until you have full visibility and no issues. So we got to do the work. All right, so we did this position, this position. No, how'd I get? Sorry for those mistakes. So what I was finding was, here's the root. I can play that voicing there, then I can play this one for this note. All right, and then I was like losing where I'm at. So again, you want to see the scale up. I can see it now. See the notes of the chord in the scale, right? So I'm visualizing the scale right now. Kind of weird voicing, but this is the one I like. So, what can we do with this voicing? Here's our root. We can take it down to B flat. But it's not B flat, it's still E. So I hadn't done this one. Flat 7, root flat 7, 6. Right? Clicks. Oh yeah, that's the 5. It looked weird to me. So root flat 7. 6, 5, sharp 11. Here's our root. We should see that. Major third, 9, root. Yeah, baby. That's cool. Ah, come on. Son of a... You gotta get that together. Ah, come on. It looked weird to me. We get these things in our head sometimes, you know? It's like words. Sometimes you look at a word, you're like, ah, that doesn't look like use. Yeah. Like, oh, it is. That's how it's spelled. It's all just a process. Very intense process. It's a lot of work. Very rewarding, though, you know, and this is the, you know, I find this part of it intellectually fun, you know, but you got to make these things musical, too, you know. Let's do a little jamming over this. Yeah, maybe next time. I've rattled on long enough. Peace. Enjoy.